Okay, welcome back to Danganronpa 2. We are ready to start the 5th trial, which Monokuma says this is going to be the last one, but can we really trust anything that comes out of that bear shit's mouth? Before we start, let us go over our clues again. The victim is Nagito Komeda. The body was discovered inside the warehouse near the Monokuma plushie factory. The estimated time of death is believed to be noon sharp. Not only is there a spear stabbed in his stomach, but there are multiple stab wounds on each of his thighs. Furthermore, there's a laceration on his left arm and a knife impaled through his right hand. Both of Nagito's legs were tied with rope, and each rope was tied to nearby pillars, which prevent him from moving. His thighs were also covered with a lot of stab wounds. The rope that was tied to Nagito's right arm was burned off. However, Nagito's right sleeve still looked clean. That's still weird. A survival knife that was stabbed through Nagito's right hand. The knife is from the military base. It's safe to assume the wounds on Nagito's legs and left arm were caused by this knife. Blood was splattered on the palm of Nagito's left hand. For some reason, the splatter cuts off in the middle of his palm. Also, the back of his left hand has an unnatural blood stain that's only above the middle joints of his fingers. Nagito's mouth was covered with duct tape. However, the blood that splattered onto his face wasn't under the duct tape. The tape itself had a lot of crinkles in it, as if Nagito was desperately moving his mouth underneath it. The spear impaled through Nagito's stomach. A cord with an iron weight at the end of it extends from the back of the handle. For some reason, only the section where the cord and weight touch is bloody. A life-size Monokuma plushie that was found on the floor near the fire's origin point. It has a huge bloody hole in the stomach, as if it were stabbed. A faint red line was on the ceiling girder inside the goods warehouse. A lot of tipped-over Monokuma panels were scattered around the goods warehouse. In one area, the panels seemed to be laid on top of each other in a straight, orderly line. Found the fire's origin point. It looks like this is what caused the fire. An MP3 player that comes with speakers. The music that was blaring throughout the warehouse when Hajime and the others arrived was coming from this. Sonya secretly used one of the bombs from the military base at the ancient ruins and found out that the bombs were fake. At the time, Monami was apparently peeking at the whole thing. Monokuma knew all along the bombs were fake, however he apparently never revealed that fact to anyone. The diary that Monami updated every day, or did she? According to Monokuma, Monami can't write. Gas mask and gloves hidden at Nagito's cottage under his bed. A piece of blue paper. A round thin piece of aluminum paper found at Nagito's cottage under his bed. Poison found inside the refrigerator at Nagito's cottage. The warning label on the back of the bottle states, "This enchanted liquid's highly potent, takes effect immediately. Volatility is low, this liquid's very dangerous. When vaporized, gaseous state is heavier than air, breaks down in minutes. So it's susceptible to hydrolysis. It's possible for you to poison someone to death without complications. Keep the liquid secure by putting it in a cool place in a glass or plastic container, away from sunlight." This file contains the Hope Speak Academy student profiles for all 16 students participating in the school trip. Due to the fact that Monokuma forged the traitor's profile, looking at this won't help identify who the traitor is. Okay, that's all of it. I only have a few pieces of the puzzle here. Once again, let's hope that, more is revealed as the trial continues. Let me check the difficulty again. Okay.
Now then, let's begin with a simple explanation of the class trial. During the class trial, you will present your arguments for who the killer is and vote for who done it. If you vote correctly, then only the blackened will receive punishment. But if you pick the wrong person, I'll punish everyone besides the Blackened, and that person will earn the right to leave this island. Oh my! Monami? My cute little sister? You're awfully quiet. What's happened to you? You've ascended the ladder of adulthood and reached the moon? Because you're a rabbit?
Oh yeah, she's floating in the air. She's not, like, being tied up anymore.
Yes, no! One more time! Jeez! How about this one? This will be my final blow! It's useless.
Please stop! I feel bad for Monomi.
You're right. Now's not the time for me to horse around with Monami. The class trial has started, after all. The victim this time is Nagito, who is attempting to reveal the traitor for everyone's sake. Who in the world killed him? I'm so curious.
If he was killed for trying to reveal the traitor, that traitor is obviously the killer. They were trying to shut Nagito up.
No, that might not be it.
Huh? Are you trying to protect the traitor? They didn't call out when we were in danger.
That is true.
Don't tell me you're the traitor.
Let's say something so stupid. There's no way in hell I'm the traitor.
Let's not start right off with the finger pointing.
Now that's more like it. Why don't you guys hurry and start arguing already?
The traitor and the killer who murdered Nagito is here, right? Are they the same person? Or...
The killer didn't take Nagito's mouth to shut him up. I'm telling you, they were torturing him.
The reason Nagito's body was covered with wounds.
It's because the killer tortured Nagito.
So that's why he was so beat up. What were they trying to find out by torturing him? Definitely the bomb's hiding place. If so, the suspect is whoever found the bomb first.
That was Fuyuhiko.
I found it by coincidence. There's no way I'd torture someone.
Why did the killer have to torture Nagito? No, were the wounds on Nagito's body really caused by torture in the first place? Are we having doubts
The killer
here?
didn't take Nagito's mouth to shut him up. I'm telling you, they were torturing him.
The
Then
reason
what?
Nagito's body was covered with wounds.
It's because the killer tortured Nagito.
What? That didn't have anything to do with it. What were the other things on that?
So that's why he was so beat up.
The duct tape,
What were they trying to find out by torturing him?
panels.
Definitely the bomb's hiding place.
That seems like the...
If so,
Oh.
the suspect is whoever found the bomb first.
That was Fuyuhiko.
I found it by coincidence. There's no way I'd torture someone.
The killer didn't take Nagito's mouth to shut him up. I'm telling you, they were...
The reason Nagito's body was covered with wounds.
It's because the killer tortured Nagito.
So that's why he was so beat
Oh
up.
wait, if they covered his mouth
What
in
were they
duct
trying to
tape,
find out by torturing him? Definitely the bomb's hiding place.
if they were
So,
torturing to find out the hiding place, they
Is
could
whoever found the bomb first. That was
they
who you-
couldn't have
I found
taped
it, but there's
his
no way I'd
his
torture
mouth
someone.
shut because he couldn't talk.
The killer didn't tape Nagito's mouth to shut him up. I'm telling you,
They were the reason Nagito's body.
it's because the killer tortured
No, that's wrong!
But Nagito's mouth was covered with duct tape, so he wouldn't have been able to confess anything.
Yeah.
If he was being tortured for information, they wouldn't have taped his mouth like that.
I'm prepared.
Oh.
I just realized it. It's a trap.
Is it?
Stupid Hajime. You got caught in that trap.
Stupid. Jones burn rope, survival knife, duct tape, spear.
Like you said, if Nagito's mouth was taped shut, you'd obviously assume he couldn't talk, right? But that was the trap. He wanted to hide the fact that he got interrogated.
But if you tape his mouth shut, how is he supposed to answer anything?
Pay attention. This is first, the killer tortured Nagito and got information about the bomb's look. Then, after they killed him,
What?
Damn it!
like you said, if Nagito's mouth, you obviously assume he couldn't talk, right? But that was the trap. He wanted to hide the fact that he got interrogated.
But if you tape his mouth shut, how is he supposed to answer anything?
Pay attention. First, the killer tortured Nagito.
Wait, I know what. Okay.
And got information about the
Oh,
bomb's
wait.
location. Then, after they killed him,
Allow me to cut through those
Yep.
words! No, there's no doubt Nagito's mouth was covered with duct tape before he was beat up.
Because there was no blood underneath it.
what did you say?
Who cares about the duct tape? We might as well settle this with rock, paper, scissors.
We don't need to play a game. It's clear the duct tape was on his mouth before the torture even began.
Why do you always side with Hajime? You have a crush on him or something?
Oh, do ya? Are you in elementary school or something?
You were with us when I peeled the duct tape off Nagito's mouth, right? The blood on Nagito's face wasn't under the duct tape, remember?
The blood on his face came from his arm wounds. Which means the duct tape was on his face before his arms were even wounded.
And the duct tape had a lot of crinkles around his mouth. He must have been struggling to open his mouth under the duct tape.
Perhaps the duct tape was used so we wouldn't be able to scream. Then it's like I said at the beginning. The tape wasn't for torture. It was to keep his mouth shut.
However, if they wanted to seal his mouth, they did not need to hurt him with such ferocity.
They probably had a deep grudge against Nagito.
Then, are you
them to
saying
do
the
something
killer was
like
trying
this.
to make him suffer? If so, it's friggin' crazy. Did they go psycho or something?
No, they didn't just go crazy. Whoever did this must be one crafty bastard. If not, they wouldn't have taken the time to set fire to the crime scene and destroy all the evidence.
The
What
warehouse
was-
fire was for destroying evidence?
What was the whole point of that fire anyways? That's another mystery.
Can't think of any other reason.
But who could have done that? When the fire occurred, everyone in this room was gathered in front of the warehouse. Yeah, and right after I opened the warehouse door, the flames started burning from the very back. Which means it is plausible to think that nobody here set the fire.
Not necessarily.
Killer isn't one of us. But that's not the case, huh? I mean, it's wishful thinking.
Even if it was only a coincidence, the timing was just too perfect.
Based on the pattern up until now, we should suspect that some kind of setup was used for this.
Some kind of setup? Like what?
I do not know that, but that has been the pattern before.
That's our Miss Sonia. You have such an amazingly high intellect.
Okay, put it back in your pants for right now.
Alrighty then. Let's think about this based on what Miss Sonia thinks. Is that okay, Miss Sonia?
Damn right it is!
The reason for the fire, huh? They're right, we need to clear that up first.
The direct cause of the fire was the oil lighter found at the crime scene, right?
The killer used some kind of
Seems like
setup. He lit the curtain on fire with the lighter.
Some kind of setup?
Did they use the oil as an improvised fuse?
They probably just threw the lighter.
Based on the shape of that oil lighter, it can stand upright while the flame is lit.
If they tipped over the lighter in some way, it could have ignited the curtain.
Some way?
We're
Maybe
getting
they
there.
used invisible thread.
No.
There should have been a way to tip it over with sound waves.
No, not...
Or perhaps opening the door caused intense wind pressure to tip over the lighter.
Some kind of setup. So what could it be?
The direct cause of the oil lighter found
The killer used some... He lit the curtain on fire.
some kind of setup. Did they use the oil? They probably just based on the shape. It can stand up
If they tipped over, it could have ignited.
some way.
Maybe they used invisible thread.
There should have been a way to tip it over with sound waves.
Or perhaps opening the door caused.
I agree with that. I also agree that opening the door is what started the fire.
Just as I
That's
thought, it was the wind pressure. A dust devil blown here from glorious Japan.
Not quite.
No, not wind pressure. They probably used the Monokuma panels. A huge number of tipped-over Monokuma panels were found at the crime scene, right? It looked like they were scattered everywhere, but some were laying on top of each other in a single line. Just a single line leading from the warehouse door to the fire's origin.
Does that mean anything?
The killer
Oh,
probably
yes.
arranged those Monokuma panels to create a domino effect.
A domino effect. You mean those tiles kids play with by lining them up and tipping them over?
In place of those
Yep.
tiles, the killer used the Monokuma panels. So when we opened the warehouse door, the first panel toppled into the second, and from there, they fell like dominoes until they reached the lighter at the end.
But wouldn't it be obvious that those big panels were falling over?
It was
That's
dark
probably
and...
why they turned off the lights in the warehouse, so we wouldn't notice them.
Yeah.
So the reason the warehouse was dark was to hide the domino effect.
And one more thing. There was something else the killer did to hide the domino effect, right?
The killer did one other thing to hide the domino effect. Oh. Oh. Oh, yeah, the music!
I see! You're talking about the MP3 player, right?
Yeah, we were distracted by the music.
That hymn blaring throughout the warehouse masked the sound of the falling panels.
The inside of the warehouse fell in darkness. Our eyes were used to the bright sunlight. Loud hymnal blared throughout the warehouse. I'm not talking about the music. Oh, that's what you meant by that.
That's it. So the strange sound was actually the sound of the panels falling.
But those sounds weren't the only strange thing, right? Looking back on it, it was also strange when we opened the door to the warehouse.
Yeah, it was hard to open the door at first. Like it was barred shut with something. Were they using one of the panels to bar the door?
Ah, so the door was being blocked by a Monokuma panel.
And when we opened the door, the domino effect started, and the falling panels eventually reached the lighter.
Yeah, and that's how the warehouse caught on fire. At least, that's how it looks.
You don't look so sure.
At the time, Akane mentioned that she could barely open the door.
Because the panel was blocking it, right?
With the blocked doorway, there wasn't enough space for a person to fit through, right?
Is that a problem?
It's a major problem. I mean, that door was the only entrance to the warehouse.
Oh, how did the killer come back out after setting all that up? If that door was the only entrance to the warehouse. I see. The killer couldn't have left.
I see! If the panel was so close to the door that it could barely be opened, the killer inside the warehouse wouldn't be able to leave, right?
Now that you mention it.
Does that mean they were hiding inside?
Who? We were all outside the warehouse, you know.
Yeah, so how'd they...
Based on the patterns up until now, I believe some kind of setup was used.
You don't have to think so hard. There's actually only one person who could have possibly done this.
You don't mean...
Nagito himself? But if that's true, this murder...
Hajime? What do you mean?
I mean... He didn't. Why would he... The person who set up the domino effect inside the warehouse. There's only one person who could have done that. How... It's... If he did, what...
This is my answer! What if it was Nagito?
Why'd you bring him up? He's the victim, you know.
He wasn't just the victim. Maybe.
Did he commit suicide? If he was about to expose the traitor, wasn't he? And why would he kill himself in such a brutal fashion?
Huh?
Not just the victim? What does that mean?
He was the victim, and he was the perpetrator too. Maybe.
Are you saying this was a suicide? Don't be stupid. His body was covered in torture wounds. Or did you already forget?
How could he have set all this up if he killed himself? That doesn't make any sense.
Are you saying those were all self-inflicted?
But Nagito might do something like that, don't you think?
Given the self-loathing I've seen from him, I would have suspected a couple chapters back.
That's not the issue. He was tied up, remember?
Yeah.
Even for a creep like Nagito, it'd be impossible for him to tie up his own arms and legs.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, as long as you understand.
It seems we need to discuss how Nagito was able to tie himself up.
Need to discuss? That's not necessary at all. No matter how much you think about it, it's clearly impossible.
Like he said, it seems impossible if you think about it. But I feel like I'm overlooking something. Oh boy. What do we have? Maybe the burned rope. That means he did have one free
tie
hand.
up your own arms and legs. That's obviously impossible!
Tying just the legs is one thing, but tying both arms would be impossible.
You couldn't do much with the free arm.
It'd be impossible if you were by yourself.
How about if you use your teeth? Or if you use your front tail?
What?
Dirty joke! Is that a dirty joke?
Come on, Akane, now's not the time. If our assumption that Nagito committed suicide is correct, Nagito should have tied himself up too. That's okay, right?
To actually tie up your own arms and legs. That's obviously impossible!
Tying just the legs is one thing, but tying both arms would be impossible.
You couldn't do much with the free arm.
It'd be impossible if you were by yourself.
How about if you use your teeth? Or if you use your...
Dirty joke! Is that a dirty joke?
There's not many arguments to shoot down. Okay, the burned rope says... But the right sleeve was still clean. Which means... Which means that hand must... He must have had a free hand there. Oh wait! The tape had a lot of crinkles in it, as if Nagito was desperately moving his mouth underneath it. Did he use his teeth? Let's give it a shot.
That's obviously impossible!
Tying just the legs is one thing, but tying both arms would be impossible.
You couldn't do much with... It'd be impossible if you were by...
How about if you use your teeth?
No?
Crap! To actually tie up your own arms and legs.
The plushie didn't have anything to do with it, did it? No, that doesn't seem plausible.
That's obviously impossible!
Tying just the legs is one thing, but tying both arms would
Okay, maybe it's the...
It'd be impossible.
Maybe it was
How
that
about if you
first
use-
statement about
dirty joke?
tying
Is
up
that a
your
dirty
arms
joke?
and legs. Because...
To actually tie up your own arms and...
Okay.
No, that's wrong!
Hold on a sec. Isn't that premise flawed?
What? I mean, it's no mistake that his arms and legs were...
No, it shouldn't have been both of his arms. The rope on his right arm was completely burnt up. Based on that, you can't say he was tied up.
That was just burned by the fire. He should have been tied up before then.
It burned because of the fire. Like you said, it might look like that. But that was part of the trap. There's concrete evidence that proves it.
Proof that the burnt rope on Nagito's right arm is a trap. His right sleeve.
I see!
Take a close look at his right sleeve. Even though the rope was burnt up, his sleeve wasn't burned at all. Wouldn't you agree? A burn like this, no matter how you think about it, is unnatural. That rope was burned in advance so it would look like it was burned in the fire.
Then Nagito's right arm wasn't tied up, right? He was able to move it freely, right?
Yeah, that should be the case.
Hajime, that's awesome! I'll let you cop a feel if you want.
Akane, you should not
take
give
it.
it away for free. Make sure they pay you first.
Oh my god.
That's definitely wrong.
Okay, Mr. Yakuza.
I just gotta get a Benjamin from him before I let him touch me, right?
That's not what I
Make
meant.
it
I'm
rain.
talking about Nagito.
Oh.
I mean, even if his right hand wasn't tied up, the knife was still stabbed into it, you know?
It's impossible to stab a knife into your right hand with your right hand.
That much is obvious.
That's true.
You tricked me! Give me back that Benjamin!
Not only did she try to charge me, now she wants the money back? What the heck?
Hold on. There should be a way.
Then hurry up and spill it.
If it's something lame, I'll make you give back the Benjamin with 10,000% interest.
A way to stab yourself in your right hand using only your right hand. It's okay, there's definitely an answer for this.
Even if Nagito's right hand was free, how could he stab
is
his
this
right
going?
hand with his right hand?
If he threw the knife into the air and let the knife fall, could he stab his hand that way?
Is
he
that...
a throwing knife expert?
Maybe he propped the knife somehow? And slammed his right hand down on it?
Propped it onto what?
If he just propped the knife, he could have used his bound left hand.
If you're
Is that
tied up,
where
your
the-
arms won't bend that easily. We don't know if his left hand could even reach his right hand.
Yeah. If Nagito could only use his right hand to stab himself in the palm, how did he do it?
Even if Nagito's right hand, how could
That's
he
what
stab
the
his
plush...
Threw the knife and let the knife fall.
That's
Could
what
he
the
stab
bloody
his hand
plushie
up?
was
Is he a
for.
throwing knife expert?
Maybe he propped the knife somehow?
I agree with that. The life-size Monokuma plushie. He must have used that to prop the knife.
Makes sense. That's why there was a big hole in the plushie's stomach.
And blood around it.
He inserted the knife handle into that hole to prop it up. Then he slammed his hand onto it. If that's it, he had to place the plushie near him. And it also explains the mysterious blood on the plushie.
So the blood on the plushie came from Nagito after he stabbed the knife into his own right hand.
I see. So that's the trick.
This is nuts. Why would he even do all this, though? What was he
But for a
trying
moment, I seriously thought Monokuma died or something.
to...
A bleeding plushie is super scary. It's got the same fear factor as a doll whose hair grows too long.
After stabbing his hand, he no longer needed the plushie, so he cast it off toward the fire's origin point.
Probably thought the fire would incinerate it and destroy the evidence.
So what do you think now, Fuyuhiko?
I get what you're saying about the wound on his right hand, but there's still one huge problem.
A few.
The spear. Basically, you're saying Nagito committed suicide by impaling himself with a spear, right? If you think about the order, getting killed by the spear should have been the last thing to happen to Nagito. If that's true, how is that possible? He can't grab a spear with his right hand if a knife is stabbed into it and his left hand was all tied up.
I think I know where we're gonna go with this.
Then he probably took the spear first, and as he endured the pain, he stabbed the knife into his right hand.
There is a limit to his constitution. If you got penetrated by something so big and thick, you would die instantly.
Oh, there's a euphemism. If I ever heard one. Oh, he saw it too.
I'm sorry. Didn't catch all that.
Oh my god. Kazu.
Like I said, if you got
He
penetrated by
needs to
something so
repeat
big and
it.
thick, you would die instantly.
He made her repeat it.
Say it one more time. I need to record it. For a reason.
Now's not the time for this one. Oh my god.
Hey, bastard, you better cut it out.
Like she said, in that condition, it's very difficult to stab yourself with a spear. It'd be hard to use a spear with a knife stab into your right hand, while your left hand is tied up.
So you're saying it's impossible?
Not completely.
But no matter what I think, I can't believe Nagito's death was caused by someone else.
I also agree with that. To think that one of us could kill someone with such cruelty, I could never believe that.
You say you can't believe it? You just don't want to believe it, right?
Was this his goal though? For like his whole message about like bringing like hope in everything, inspiring hope. He wanted to make it so that everyone would believe in each other. To not believe that any of them was capable of that. Is that why he did all this?
But that's why you keep getting betrayed over and over again, right? Same goes for this time, too.
For right now, we are not going to listen to you.
You just shut your mouth. It's against the rules to interfere with everyone. If you even think about doing anything, I have a plan of my own.
Monomi sassing me!
But it's just as Monokuma said. We've been betrayed over and over again so far. So... this might also be the same. Calling this a suicide takes too much for granted, and it's too convenient.
Then are you saying there is a killer among us, Kazuichi?
Of course that doesn't include Miss Sonia and me.
Of course.
As Kazuichi said, it's true we've been constantly betrayed. But even if I'm betrayed again, I still want to believe in everyone. No matter how many times I may be betrayed, I still want to believe in everyone.
I also want to believe that there's no killer, but suicide is unimaginable.
Do you really think so?
But you said it too. It'd be impossible for him to stab himself with a spear in his condition.
I did say difficult, but I never said impossible. I feel that there's some way he could have stabbed himself with that spear.
And I think I know what it is.
What kind of way?
I don't know.
You don't know.
Damn it, Chiaki.
It's impossible to figure out by myself. So let's think about it together. That's how we made it this far up till now.
She's right about that.
Everyone working together.
She's right. We've made through several ordeals up till now by doing that. Then even now.
All right, let's do this.
I think I know where this is gonna go.
How did Nagito stab himself with a spear? Let's work together and think this through.
When the spear stabbed Nagito, his right hand was covered by the knife, right?
He was only able to move his left hand.
But his left hand was also tied up.
Then that rules out his left hand. If that's the case, the only other way is...
He used his teeth?
Back to the teeth
Or maybe
again.
he used his front tail. I know guys have tails that get hard when they're grabbed.
I'm sure you do.
What are you saying?
Oh my...
Blushing Miss Sonia is freaking awesome!
Man, you guys are getting dirty this trial. Nagito committed suicide. He must have used that spear to stab himself. Even if his arms and legs are tied up, there's no doubt he used some part of his body. The only thing he could have used is...
How did Nagito stab himself? Let's work together. When the spear stuck, his right hand was...
He was only able to move his left hand.
But his left hand was also tied up.
Then that rules out his left hand.
No, that's wrong.
Hold on. It's still too early to dismiss the possibility that he used his left hand.
Why? I mean, his left hand was tied up, you know?
It was, but...
But there was something off about his left hand. The bloodstain on the palm of his hand. Don't you think it looked somewhat strange?
Mm-hmm.
He only had blood on the lower area of his palm. Beyond that point, the bloodstain suddenly cuts off, right?
When the blood splattered, that's as far as it reached, right?
That settles the description of that bloodstain, but it's not the only unnatural bloodstain. Look, there's blood on the back of his hand, around the middle joints of his fingers.
Like you said, it looks like an unnatural bloodstain, but what's wrong with that?
We might need to think and use our imaginations for a bit. If there's blood on his palm and the back of his hand, what was his left hand doing as the blood splattered?
He was gripping something.
I see.
When the blood splattered, he was probably gripping with his left hand. That's why there's such a strange-looking bloodstain on his palm and the back of his hand.
Was he grabbing his front tail?
Yes, Akane. He's a masochist. That's his fetish. We figured it out. Case closed.
Perish the thought! He was obviously grabbing the spear!
Not the spear, but something attached to it.
Now that you mention it, compared to the rest of his body, the wounds on his left arm are pretty mild. He probably made his wounds mild on purpose, so he could keep his strength while he gripped the spear.
But even if he held the spear with his tied-up left hand, it'd be impossible for him to stab himself.
That's right, that's the problem.
Hey, Chiaki, what do you think? Hey, don't tell me you're getting sleepy.
At times like this, you should always strike from a good angle, just like fixing an old TV.
Oh, I got it. Maybe.
Really?
Yeah, like I thought. It's no mistake that Nagito was gripping the spear, I think. However, what's important is what section of the spear he was gripping.
Mm-hmm. What section was he holding on to? The cord.
I see!
That's it. Instead of the handle, Nagito must have been holding on to the cord. There was a metal weight at the tip of the cord, but there were bloodstains on that part too. Plus, the joint between the weight and the cord had a bloodstain shaped like it was cut off by something.
That's where he was holding
Isn't
it.
the size of that cut-off section about the same size as a human fist?
Ah, you're right. So this is the part Nagito was gripping, huh? And then the blood that was supposed to end up here ended up getting on Nagito's left hand.
But why is it so important to know which part of the spear he was gripping?
You're not gonna say he gripped the tip of the cord, swung the spear around, and stabbed himself, right?
Nope. I think I know exactly what he did.
That is where the clue to solve this mystery resides. Right, Chiaki? I am sorry. Of course this mystery will not be solved that easily.
Nagito is gripping the cord extending from the butt of the spear with his left hand. But from there, how would he stab himself in the stomach with the spear?
It seems we are stuck. Shall we have tea time?
At a time like this, how about we stick to the plan to think one step at a time instead of expecting the answers all at once?
I guess that makes sense.
That's a long plan name.
But it makes sense.
One step at a time. What does that mean?
Let's focus on the spear first. Namely, where it was and how it was positioned just before it impaled Nagito.
Okay.
How it was positioned.
Nagito is facing up, and the spear was stabbed through his stomach. So if it's just before that, that's it. Could it be the state of the spear and the fact that Nagito is holding the tip of the cord attachment? If I put those together and think about it, I should be able to figure it out. Where the spear was and what state it was in before it stabbed Nagito. Oh god. Is this gonna be... Okay, the logic dive. Okay. I was gonna say, not Hangman's Gambit. I freaking hate those in this one. Whoa. Where was the spear just before it impaled Nagito? Above him. Oh jeez, we got new obstacles. Now we got moving ones. Besides the spear, what else was above him? The ceiling girder. What item connects the spear and the girder? Spear's cord. Alright.
It's all coming together! The spear impaled Nagito as he was laying face up. It must have been perpendicular to him just before that.
But I think this is a good cutoff point, so we're going to continue this trial next time.
I'm playing a game.